You got to have confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. Another thing you have to do as a leader, and if you're training other people, this is really, really important. You have to teach them how to have transparent integrity. In other words, be very honest. If we're going to move the facility from Kiev to Odessa in 2021, when are you going to tell the workers you're moving it in 2021? In January 2021, or are you going to tell them ahead of time? You're going to keep a secret. You might want to tell them ahead of time so they can plan the same way you're planning. Be honest. If the market's going down, go talk to your workers and tell them the market is going down and we're losing business. I need your help. I need your ideas. Be honest with them. Now, in my leadership class, I also teach people that asking for help is a sign of strength, not sign of weakness. If you go to your workers, tell them you don't know something, you need their help in figuring it out, how to improve it, how to make it better, they have the knowledge, you don't, they will probably help you. Asking for help is a sign of strength. If you're not competent, if you're a weak leader, you're not going to want to let anybody know that you don't know all the answers. You want them to think you know all the answers. But if you're confident and you talk to your people, you need to let them know you don't have all the answers. How could you? You're the director or manager of a large company, so many different processes. How are you going to know all of them? It's impossible. So you want to go down and ask for help. Don't be afraid to do that. When you get ready to hire people, most of you are going to go out and find some very, very highly qualified people. And as a leader, do you know what to do with those highly qualified people? If you hire highly qualified people who can really do a good job, what do you need to do? Get out of their way. If they're highly qualified, give them their assignment and then step back. Let them go. Let them do their job. That's why we hired them. That's why we're giving them a good salary. They're supposed to be the best at what they do. If they're the best and you're interfering, what's going to happen? Step back. Let those people go. Let them do what you're paying them to do. Okay? Don't interfere with them. Are you confident? Are you confident? When you get up in the morning, you turn off your alarm, you use the bathroom, you get dressed, and as you're getting dressed, you look in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, do you like what you see? I don't mean are you heavy or light or tall or short. Do you like yourself? As a leader, if you don't like yourself, it's going to be a problem, because I'll continue the story. You go in the kitchen, you eat your breakfast, you either go in your car or public transportation to work, and then you show up. When you walk through that door, if you did not like yourself in the morning, the workers are going to know that. They're going to read your confidence before you open your mouth. You have seen your bosses, right? You can tell when your boss is having a bad day when they walk in the door, right? Where's their confidence? They don't have it, or they left it behind. Not good. They got to change that. You got to have confidence. You've got to believe in yourself. Now, we got a lot of women in the group, and I just spoke at an international women's conference, and one of the primary things that conference wanted to work on was women having confidence in the workplace. So for so many, many, many years, we've been holding the women down and thinking they weren't competent. They are just as competent as men, but they don't have a lot of faith in themselves. They got to step forward. They got to try things. That works for us men also. Us men have to have confidence. We have to be willing to try something. If you're not willing to try something and get out of your normal habit, nothing's going to change. There's an old English saying that we use frequently in America. If you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you always got. You have to do something different. Be willing to change a little bit. Take that extra step. Speak up when you want to, not when you're shy, afraid to, but speak up when you want to. You got to do something different. If you do something different, you'll be surprised with the results. Now, I've been around several years, and I think there's only one or two people here in the room who are older than I. Today, we fly higher than birds fly. Right? Yeah, we do. They don't fly as high as we do. What is possible tomorrow? What is possible tomorrow? There's a question I like to ask in my classes on leadership, because a lot of leaders get stuck in their position. The question I ask them is, what can we not do today, but if we could, it would increase our competitive position. It will increase our competitive position if we did it. What can we not do today, but if we could, it would make a huge change in the company. What if we asked that question about you? All of you as individual leaders. What can you not do today, but if you could, it'd make you more successful? Maybe it's learn another language. Maybe it's learn a different skill. Maybe it's take a different approach when you hold meetings. What are you not doing now that you could do? That's what we have to think about. And when we think about that, we need to understand that almost anything is possible. Too often we think somebody tells us, Michael, that's impossible. We can't do it. Wrong. You can. It might be hard to do. Might take a long time. Might be expensive. But you can do it. You just got to believe in yourself. Now, I don't know what you see when you look in that mirror, but my friend who looks in the mirror, he sees a very competent person. Many of you are trying to put lean technology or improvement skills into your workplace. The question is, you're asking the worker to do it, but do you do it? In your own personal process, your own personal job, do you apply the same skills internally? If I go to your office and you tell me, Michael, we're putting in 5S all through the factory, we've told all the workers. A lot of you have already done that. So now I go to your office and I sit in your chair and I pull out your bottom drawer. What's in your bottom drawer? Things you need or things you don't need. You told the worker he couldn't have anything extra, but you got extra in your desk. You tell people they have to be on time, start a process and get it done in 17 minutes because that's the cycle time. That's what we need. And you call a meeting, and when you have people come into your meeting, you run 20 minutes over. How can you run 20 minutes over when the worker can't run over? The worker has to be in his cycle time. He has to please his customers. What about you as a leader? Do you please your customers? You need to be practicing the same lean skills, the same improvement skills that you're asking the workers to do. Don't ask them to do something that you're not willing to do. Make sure that you do it also. Listening. Are you a good listener? Do you listen to your people? And people say, oh, yeah, Mike, I listen to them all the time. They talk to me, I get the information, but I'm not sure you know how to listen. So I'm going to give you 4 very, very, very simple steps to make you a better listener. And if you practice them, your workers will want you to go talk to them. They won't run away when you come toward them. They will seek you out to give you answers if you practice these 4 skills. First skill, when I go to him and I ask him a question, after I ask the question, what should I do? Shut your mouth. Put a zipper on it. Keep it shut. Say nothing. Stay silent. Wait for that person to respond. Second step, make eye contact and keep eye contact. It is very, very rude, and I'm sure people have done it to you. They're going to ask you a question, and then while you start to answer them, you're on your cell phone, and they're trying to answer your question. Are you paying attention to them? No. Should you be paying attention to them? Yes. But you're not. So make sure, second step, keep that eye contact. Third step, make sure you have some way of taking some small notes. You can do it electronically, you can do it on paper, whatever. You don't need to take long notes, but write a few words down about what he said. Just take a couple notes, because when you go back to your office, you're going to need to know that information, and you're going to need to get it correct. And if you're going to try to get it correct, you've got to have a little bit of information on it. And the fourth thing, this is the one they were talking about this morning. You heard a couple of speakers talk about it already. When I finish, I've asked him a question. He has given me what I asked for. What should I do? Thank you. Placebo. Okay? Tell them that you appreciate the fact that they answered your question. Now just think about people who asked you questions. How would you feel if you're the worker and your boss came down, he asked you a question, and then he was silent, listened to you, maintained eye contact with you, took a couple notes, and then said thank you? How would you feel as a worker? Good or bad? What do you think? Good or bad? Good, right? That sounds good. We would like that to happen to us. But people don't do it. Nobody trains those leaders to be a good listener. You need to think about that. It's very, very important. And when you start to listen to your people, it's very important that you realize they are not robots. They don't just spit out information on a regular basis. They're not robots. Sometimes they have to think. Sometimes their answers might shock you. Sometimes their answers may be different than what you expected. That's because they are human. They are not robots. Don't go to the shop floor as a supervisor and ask questions and expect to know what the answers are going to be. If you knew the answers, why did you go ask? You don't know what the answers are going to be. You don't know what the worker is going to respond because he's a human, not a robot. So you need to keep that in mind, that these people are alive. Now, I like this picture a lot. Maybe a couple of my colleagues know where this is at. Most of you probably do not. This is in Colorado, in the United States, not far away from Aspen, and maybe you have heard of Aspen. That lake is 2,500 meters above sea level. The mountains in the background, there are 52 of those mountains in the background in our state, 52 of them, over 4,000 meters high. I live very close to this lake. In our city in the United States, we have the U.S. Olympic Training Center in my city. Why do we have our Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, in the United States? There's a reason. Athletes from all over the world come to our city to practice their sport. And if they can perform their sport at high altitude with low oxygen, and then they come back down here closer to sea level, they have a lot more capability. They can perform a whole lot better. So people who know where my home is, they say, oh, Michael, now we know your secret, because in class often my students say, you've got a lot of energy. Well, when they hear this little story, they say, now we know you got more oxygen. Because you got more oxygen, you have more energy. They say it's the altitude that determines my attitude. They got it exactly backwards. It is your attitude that determines your altitude. Just think about it. If you go back to work and anything you've learned in this conference the last 3 or 4 days or today, you go back and you try to implement it with a negative attitude, who's going to want to help you? Who's going to want to be on your team? Who's going to want to support your idea if you got a negative attitude? But if you go back to work with a positive attitude, saying we can do this, we will do this, we will make it happen, we will be successful. If you've got a positive attitude, people will want to be on your team. People will want to help you. People will want to support you with a positive attitude. And if you're looking at promotion, how many of you want to promote somebody that works for you and has a negative attitude? Nobody. You want to get promoted, think about a positive attitude. It's going to help. So many of the things you hear today, they will work with a positive attitude. With a negative attitude, they will not. It is up to you to decide on what kind of attitude you have.